Another piece of the governor's agenda faces a difficult path forward. The Senate Rules Committee passed a bill aimed to expand voting access, but it's headed to the Judiciary Committee after concerns from some senators, including the Democratic Chair, Daniel Ivey Soto. Let's welcome to the line back. I want to start with the same question we asked about hydrogen earlier, guys. Was this too much at once? Andy, was Democratic leadership a bit too optimistic about how this would all play out?
Well, I think you could probably say that for a lot of the extra issues that have been added to the special session, right? Mm-hmm. And any year that you have a long list of stuff in addition to budget stuff, you could argue, I think, that there's too big of a bite to get at. But this has also been something that the Secretary of State and the governor have sort of advocated for a while, sort of expanding some of these voter issues.
Mm-hmm. I know you meant regular session there when you said special. That's okay. We got you covered there, brother. That's all right. Daniel Foley, one piece of the original proposal that was stripped out was a measure to allow 16-year-olds to vote in local elections. The minimum age in the bill has been changed to 17 if that person turns 18 by the next general. I don't want to spend too much time on this because it's past history. Smart idea, just to get rid of the 16?
You know, I'm always torn by it, right? At 18, you're allowed to go to war, carry a gun, and defend the country, but you can't buy a beer. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, at some point we got to realize, you know, that getting people involved is not necessarily a bad thing.
Interesting. Inez, I love this one. A proposed constitutional amendment would allow independent voters to participate in primary elections. Hello. It fits with what Secretary of State Maggie Toulouse Oliver told us 2 weeks ago, that her goal is to increase voting access, period. Is it that simple in this case?
It's not necessarily that simple, but it makes a difference if you're a declined estate and you can go vote for your local sheriff or a local county commissioner. I mean, one way to get around all of this is just to dump primaries altogether and go to a blanket primary in November with ranked choice voting, and you're done. And everybody votes at once. You don't have to pay for 2 elections. You don't have to campaign twice, and you get it all done on one day with whatever early voting you decide.
That's an interesting point. I wonder why that isn't part of the package. That's interesting. Hey, Dan, another bill that expands protections. I know you've talked about this in the show before, but a bill that expands protections for state election workers has already passed the entire Senate. The legislation comes after some officials, as you know, were targeted with threats of violence after the 2020 presidential. Are these bills necessary?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think at the end of the day, you know, we have to be careful, in my opinion, of passing legislation that really is trying to affect a small minority of situations that happen out there, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, threatening a worker like that. I mean, there's ample laws out there right now to go after these individuals, punish these individuals, hold these individuals accountable, and we don't use them, right? Mm-hmm. So what is another law going to do? To me, there's reasons to go out there. You know, if I threaten to beat you up right now, there's laws that prevent me from doing that. There's laws that allow the police to come on. Now, by saying, hey, we're going to make it an even bigger crime if Dan threatens Gene, it doesn't do anything to get the police to come after it any quicker. And so I just like to see us go utilize the laws we have on the books before we start adding more laws and figuring out ways to use them. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Andy, that proposal we're talking about expands these felony crimes of intimidation to include acts against employees and agents of the Secretary of State, county clerks, municipal clerks. Interesting. It's going to the House for consideration, but on Dan's point, those folks do get threatened. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It's not just the secretaries of these places.
They do, and I think that you actually have seen this in many, many sessions where it's always a different sort of group of people that they want to try to protect through laws. And to Dan's point, I think some public defenders and criminal defense attorneys would actually agree with him on that we don't necessarily need more laws. There's already laws in place that make that a crime. Mm-hmm. And to sort of specialize it, they would argue that it sort of muddies the legal waters of, you know, when you start to expand hate crimes or make it a tougher penalty or a harsher penalty for assaulting a police officer. Those things come up all the time. And not to say that these people, especially given the sort of the world that we live in now, right, in the past couple of years, things are really tense. So it's probably not surprising that they're bringing this up. But yes, I do think a lot of sort of criminal justice folks are saying, well, wait a minute, like to Dan's point, maybe we don't need to add more laws to the books.
Gotcha. Hey guys, I'm going to start with Inez on this, but let's all take a cut at this. Let's kind of think ahead to next Thursday when this all ends. Inevitably, you know, what do you predict, Inez, is going to be on the table still that needs to be passed? What do you think could pass? We already talked about potentially a special session for crime. Kind of thinking out there a little bit. What do you predict for next Thursday when this all ends?
I believe they will pass a budget. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that's a bold prediction here. I think that the payday lending, lowering the interest rates, is going to pass in some form. And I think that something hydrogen-y will at least get to the end, if not all the way. Mm-hmm. I have actually heard that the governor is considering a special session on hydrogen. She's so focused on that. And I don't know if my source was correct, but that's what I was told. I do think that something on voting rights will pass, because with the national pushback and the inability of Congress to protect voting rights, I think states have to show that they can at least carry some of the weight. Mm-hmm. So I think voting rights in some form will get all the way. And the governor said in one of her interviews that I just read that she thinks the Social Security tax cut in some form and the gross receipts tax cut still have a chance.
Gotcha. Interesting points there. We didn't talk about the tax stuff that she is touting as a possibility. Andy, your thoughts again. It's hard to predict. These things are very, very difficult, but your sense of where things might be ending up by next Thursday and then beyond.
I would agree with Inez. Obviously, the budget is going to come out, and they're going to have that figured out. Taxes, possibly. I also think that for lack of a better term, a watered-down version of these tough-on-crime bills will come out as much as they can. The other thing that's sort of slept on a lot, and of course it's in my purview, is there's this cannabis bill that still needs to go through quite a few stops, at least a few more stops until the end of the session. And what that does is it impacts micro producers, folks that are growing minimum of 200 right now, but they're trying to change the statute to 1,000. That's going to be a big deal if it doesn't happen, because everybody else is getting to grow more while these people would be stuck at 200.
That's an interesting point. Let me stay on that for a second, Andy, because folks might be up on that and hearing, wait, 200 to 1,000? What's going on here? This is really just to stay on par, isn't it? And just have enough product out there.
Yeah, they sort of, for months, the state has said we're not worried about shortages.
Right.
And then mid-January, they said, well, actually, we are worried about shortages for the medical folks, right? Because we as a state don't want folks to the non-medical people to buy out all the supply for people that rely on this for their medicine. And so I think without doing the micro producers, they might be able to get there. But then there's this equity problem that comes up, right? So yes, they can grow 200. Meanwhile, other people can grow more than 10,000. I mean, and they're sort of cranking those numbers up for the non-micro producers. But the micro producers, that's sort of built into statute. You can't just change that through rules. So it's sort of an important thing for these folks who wanted to get their foot in the door to, like you said, 1,000, it sounds like a lot, and it could produce a lot. But then when you compare 200 to 10,000, that's a huge difference.
I appreciate that perspective. Daniel, we've got a minute left. What do you think about next Thursday when this all ends? What's your prediction?
Yeah, as is usual, there'll be something that comes out of the end. Everybody will be hugging each other and claiming a victory. Then there'll be some people do some research, like my colleagues that are on here today, and say, wait a minute, it really wasn't as successful as you think. I think it's, the voting rights stuff. It does belong being heard in the states and not at the federal level, so we'll see what happens there. There will be a budget. There's no doubt about it. At the end of the day, I just think it's important for everybody to realize it doesn't take a Republican to pass anything in New Mexico. So as long as the D's get on the same page, they'll get what they want.
That's a good point there. Thanks again to our line panel, as always, this week. Be sure to let us know what you think about any of the topics we covered on our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram pages. Now, here's environment correspondent Laura Paskus.